Wait, where's the ban list video? Is it in front of me, chat? And I'm just not missing. I'm just like not seeing it. Like, what's it called? Oh, hold on. This guy, 12,000 views. He's popping off a little bit at least. Let's see. It's in front of you, dude. I don't see it. I'm looking at the text of his video. I see Dragon Link, Chaos Light Sworn, Dragon Link, Rarity Upgrades, Dragon Link. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is.
Is missing. Today I'm actually going to be discussing the ban list, so kind of a ban list prediction slash ban list wish list. Before I start, friendly reminder to like and subscribe because it motivates me a lot to keep making.
I want to build rogue decks for regionals, but I'll take actual competitive. Wait, what? I'll take actual competitive decks to nationals slash Y. Well, how many YCS do you plan on attending, Celsa? Because before you only went to Atlanta. Even assuming there's an Atlanta next year, that's only one event, maybe two if you count nationals. Like,
and yet for me
to buy a deck, I gotta get at least 3 events from it.
Section, the first card that I have is Blood Dragon to 0. Now a lot of people have been kind of discussing this card now. Should it go to 1? Should it go to 0? Should it stay at 3?
It's searchable. It going to 1 does nothing. I'm pretty sure there's a generic XC monster that's rank 4 called like Gallic Granite that searches it.
Yeah, so, should we just not do anything at all?
Either 0 or 3.
Last ban list, there was a really good argument to not touch anything because there was absolutely nothing going on from Konami's side.
Oh my god. It's like we're watching Celsa grow up. Celsa is hitting that exact point that I hit around 2006 during GX. Yeah, where you're like you're starting to work, you have your own money. You still live at home, so you really don't have any fucking financial responsibilities, but you just have so much money you can just throw into Yu-Gi-Oh! Like Celsa, you are hitting where I hit at 2006.
They were just not like there were like basically no events. But now that there was the remote duel invitational, there might actually be more online events like that coming up in the future. Especially since honestly, I don't think the coronavirus is gonna end like anytime before 2022. So
after this,
I definitely think that we should kind of have a ban list, and Block Dragon to 0 is one way to make the game a little bit more fair right now, because as long as the card exists, the game is like the game is just not as enjoyable because you always know what to expect. It's always the same. It's like honestly, it's been stagnating since I want to say.
Mr. Big Pimpin', are you here? Mr. Big Pimpin', Mr. Shill for Yu-Gi-Oh. By the way, can we? This is just a side note. Can we find any person who like says the game's fun right now? I feel like when I say that, Big Pimpin's like, see, Cap hates you. Dude, literally everyone says the game's fucking trash. Like, everyone. Like, even this guy's like, the game's stagnant, it's bad, it's not fun. By the way, it's not blot. Like, this isn't, what he's saying is not true. Like, I mean, yeah, the game is trash and it's unfun and not playable at all. But that's not Blot Dragon's fault. Like, Blot Dragon has not ruined Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, if you wanna like, talk about like a specific card, it's not Block Dragon. Like, Block Dragon isn't making Yu-Gi-Oh! Terrible. I like Yu-Gi-Oh! Congratulations, because you're like literally the only one, because it's not even just like Cap complains about it. When you can just find videos of like Jesse Cotton saying the game's fucking bad, and even we pull up random, I've never seen this guy before in my entire life. This is the first time I've seen him. You guys just introduced me to him. And the first minute of his video, he's saying, yeah, the game's unfun and terrible right now.
Basically February,
but it's not Block Dragon's
kind of, in a way. I mean, obviously we've had like
new
decks coming.
It's not even that it's boring. The game's just bad. Like, I mean, I guess they're. I don't think both of those have to be true. To me, again, chat, the game is way too much. Player A builds board, player B has to break board. That's like the only relation that there kind of is in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. Like, to me, that's just, there's way too much black and white in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, you're either black or you're white, and that's like it. And I mean, maybe I shouldn't use those because those are political terms, I guess. But to me, that just
up in the meta, but it's still not super enjoyable. So yeah, and I think Blood Dragon should definitely go to 0 and not 1, because as long as it's searchable, that's all it really like. That's all it takes really for you to explode. And besides, 3 Blood Dragon is seriously very bricky. I don't understand why people like 3. If anything, maybe 2 makes sense because you can get a second one, and then actually 5 cards banned on here. The next card is actually VFD, the Vanisher Fathomer.
Why does everyone hate this card? Just play Impermanence, forehead. Dude, I swear, if I see another person say True King of All Calamity, I understand why people say the card is powerful. I have not heard a single person talk about the fact that you have to have 2 level 9s on field. Why does that never come up in these videos? I feel like I've said that before. Every single ban has, to me, yes. To me, it's much more ban worthy to have. It makes more sense to ban S0 than it does to ban VFD, because no one even calls it True King of All Calamities. The difference is, and this is why I believe this, chat, you can make S0 with 1 card. That is not fair. You should not be able to make a boss monster that turns off your opponent's turn for 1 card. Maybe if you have like 3 or 4 cards, like, okay, but 1 card? Show me the 1 card True King. I don't know of that play. Like, if someone can just show me a 1 card True King of All Calamities, then you'll probably obliterate my argument. But I just don't see, like, if you can make this card in the process of dinosaur play, like, okay, I get that, but there is no like 1 card True King of All Calamities. It takes a lot of time to, or a lot of effort to make this card. I'm not, what's it called?
Disaster.
Out of check, Yu-Gi-Oh! Boomer thinks
I don't care what people say, man. Stopping your opponent from using.
I'm not saying that it is or it. I mean, how can it be a flop? We don't even have any events. And before you guys, well, it didn't top this shitty Pro Play Games events.
Using any monster effects or attacking for 1 full turn.
I just like this
basically
format.
You can use it for like 2 turns because you have 2 materials. That's also really BS, and it also plays around Dark Ruler because you can use it as like at the very beginning of their opponent, like at their turn.
S0
so
is trash.
On the draw phase or standby phase.
Okay, whoa, okay, hold on. If S0 is bad, then how is True King of Calamities not bad too? They're stopped by the same exact cards. I mean, I guess you can say this card has stats where, like, okay, if you impermanence in S0, it doesn't have stats for at least that turn, so like anything can attack over it. Whereas True King of All Calamities would, I mean, but it's just like they're stopped by the same things. They're stopped by the exact same things. The only difference is, again, this card will at least have stats. You can put other things. You can put other things on the field with Calamities. Numeron is just S0 pass, I guess, but if it only takes 1 card, you still have like 5 other cards to, or 4 other cards to do stuff. Nah, I don't know.
Dark Ruler you can, like, I don't know, chain any like spell or like any
just
random BS and then chain Dark Ruler to that. But yeah, no, DFD has been just, oh my god, it hasn't been fun at all for anyone, and I really hope this card gets banned because there's kind of like no way to really stop this card with like inherent, like with your engine sometimes.
How is Big Pimpin' not the one to randomly post this shit? Press 1 if this confirms that VFD is broken, chat. Apparently, Super Heavy Samurai can summon VFD for 1 card. Press 1 if this defeats my holy moly. Argument defeated, boys. Argument defeated. Big Pimpin', why don't you know about this? But is this or is this the only reason you enjoy this shitty game right now? Is because your deck can apparently make True King of All Calamities with 1 card? Because this would be, I mean, I guess the game is, I guess maybe this is why you think that the game's fun right now. It's because your deck can do it with 1 card.
It's just, you kind of,
I mean, I personally just, S0 and Calamities, both unhealthy for the game, period. I mean, I do think Big Pimpin', he does make a good argument. If his argument is you can make other things alongside True King of All Calamities, but you can't make other things alongside S0, that is a somewhat valid argument. Because yeah, there is no other, like, if you use Numeron Network, you can't really summon anything else, so you just have to pray to God that that monster gets you there. Whereas True King of All Calamities, I guess we watched the dinosaur dude be able to summon like other negations, which I guess those negations can stop the stuff that stops True King of, like, if you make Lagia plus True King of All Calamities, if your opponent has Impermanence or Forbidden Chalice or whatever, theoretically the Lagia could just stop that, and then, you know, you'd still have the True King of All Calamities. So I don't know. I mean, this is a card I personally don't want to see banned, but if Konami is listening to the community, so many people are overwhelmingly saying this card needs to be banned. Like, I mean, I wouldn't throw a fit if it got banned, but I feel like the Yu-Gi-Oh community is gonna get this card fucking banned.
Either hard to use the extra deck, and Union Carrier just makes it way too easy to actually just I mean,
who's So I watched the recent ban list video. Oh no, it was Farfa. Yeah, it was Farfa. I think hold on. What was this guy's first card? Hold on. That's what I was thinking. I think this list so far, chat, is card for card Farfa's list. Farfa had these exact cards banned. This card is just a casualty of war, sadly, because Farfa also had Herald of the Arclight, and which he made an interesting point. I don't know if it's a good point, but it's an interesting point. What Nadir said was Herald of the Arclight kind of ironically went from a card that you never ever summoned, right? We always sent it from the deck, the extra deck to the graveyard, which is true. You can trace that back to the Necros days. And what's that? Geldagra, the Geldagra plays where you just throw it into the graveyard. He said that it went from a card that we never summoned to a card that we now exclusively summon, and that it's kind of broken in both ways. Which, I mean, I don't know if it's a good argument, but it's an interesting one.
Work, honestly. This card is way too powerful for no reason, and I really hope it also goes to zero.
I never saw Mermail make that card.
That card, like Dragon Buster Destruction Sword alongside VFD, kind of falls
in the same
category.
Avatar
Something with Zexal, as in they stop your opponent from even trying.
Depends on how the
and this is
goes.
always worse than just making hard negates that can be countered. So yeah, those three cards, I think they're kind of like a unanimous decision. Everyone really wants to see them gone. Now, the fourth card on my ban list is actually not Link Cross. It's not Needle Fiber. Get ready, because it's actually Martial Metal Marcher. Yes.
This is interesting. Doesn't this card... I have to actually... Hold on. So this card, like, brings back a level 1 monster. Or what does this card do other than just make Herald of the Arclight? Because I feel like this is just random. Like, a lot of people are... I mean, but what this card... Monster Reborn's like a level 3 or lower monster, I think. But the monster's effect... I have to read this card. I know it's a tuner, because I think people use this in Herald. Or they use this to go on the Herald with, I guess, one of the tokens that you get. Because, like, every play makes tokens, whether it be with Mecha Phantom Beast Lion or Link Cross. If this card is Synchro Summon, you can target one tuner in your graveyard, special summon it in defense, but negate its effects. A synchro monster used with this material is treated as a tuner. I'm not seeing it. How much for you to play Duel Links? I'm gonna have to go John Moore on you guys, like $50. I don't want to fucking play Duel Links. Like what? I'm just gonna listen to his argument. It brings back a tuner. Yeah, but like, I mean, with the tuner, do you just use that? Like, I feel like you've already made Needle Fiber at this point. So like, what are you doing with it? What are you doing? It facilitates Halifibrax. Really? Do you summon this before Halifibrax? I would assume that you summon Halifibrax before you summon this. So you haven't made Needle Fiber yet.
I think that Martial Metal Marcher actually deserves to get banned, because Link Cross is still a very new card, and Martial Marcher, nobody really played it like before Link Cross.
When the fuck did this card come out, chat? I don't necessarily agree with that. Like, let's just ban old cards, but like to me this definitively feels like would this card be relevant ever if there was no Halifibrax? I feel like we wouldn't see this card played for like 10 years. It came out in 2018. It came out with Junk Speeder. Like, okay, but is there any like legitimate way to even use this card? I'm talking about like practical way to even use this card without Halifibrax. Because now I feel like we're just banning random cards. Like, I even think when we hit other cards on the ban list, like they're just like good but shitty. This card just feels like, how do you even fucking play this card without Halifibrax? What's up, Sue? How you doing?
Outside of like, those really obscure synchro decks that aren't really considered like real Yu-Gi-Oh decks. Like people play them online and that's it. Like they don't really play them like in the actual regionals and YCS events. So Martial Marcher definitely doing more wrong than right. And I think if we hit...
Well, this is... Well, no, I can't say this is a wish list, because he made this a prediction video and a wish list, so I can't really tell if this is what he wants or if this is what he thinks is going to happen. To me, this just feels way too random. And if you do too much of this, chat, you end up with a situation. You guys know, what's that fucking Liraloose card that should have got banned in like 2016 but didn't, and then Konami ended up banning like 3 more cards because of it. Independent Nightingale. You end up with an Independent Nightingale situation where you end up banning like 5 cards because you don't want to ban one other card. Like, yeah, I feel like you end up in a situation like that.
If we hit that, we don't.
And we're dangerously close, by the way. Whatever this ban list is, this might dictate it. We're gonna end up with an Independent Nightingale situation with Halifabrax, where we end up banning like 10 cards because we didn't want to ban
hit Link Cross for a while. Like I said, Link Cross is still a new card. It actually promotes synchro summoning, which is technically like a healthy thing. But if the synchro monsters that you're summoning are just way too generic, way too easy to summon, and have way too powerful effects like Martial Marcher, then we definitely have a really huge problem. And also, Metal Marcher is the best way to make Herald without negging like crazy. Now, if you want to make Herald, you're actually going to be needing like a level 2 tuner and those 2 level 1 tokens. So that's actually not too great. Definitely going to see, like, definitely Herald is actually going to be taking a hit with Metal Marcher.
We know it's not going to get banned anytime soon.
That's like collateral damage, but good collateral damage, honestly. Very much needed too. Now, the 5th and final card in my ban.
So what? This is going to be Borreload Savage Dragon? Because I guess he hasn't talked about that yet.
Is a card that I know some other people have also kind of asked for that. It makes so much sense when you think about it. It's actually Borreload Savage Dragon.
Where have we gotten in Yu-Gi-Oh? Where I just don't fucking understand this. I just really don't. Like, did anyone say that this card... I mean, I understand that sometimes it takes us a while to, like, understand the power of cards. I would say less in the new years of Yu-Gi-Oh! Than, like, in the old years where... You had cards like Rescue Cat and Lone Fire Blossom that took like entire eras to like become relevant. But what? Like, I don't remember anyone saying that this card was even overpowered when it came out in Savage Strike. That was like a year ago. I mean, what? And now we're at the point where it's just like ban it. What? I don't get this at all. Remember when I pulled this at a YCS? And you called me a cracker for being excited? Oh, did you pull this card? I do remember you pulling something and me saying like, I didn't say I didn't call you a cracker, but I thought you got like too excited. Little did we know that would end up being like a $60 card. You live and you learn, right?
Because you can't just always play it as your go-to.
If only we knew at that point it was a $60 card in the future.
Level 8 synchro.
Oh.
So I feel like it.
I mean, if Boro was banned, you can just make another negate or I mean, that's been my argument the entire time. So Simo's counter to that was, if Borreload's banned, it forces you to make those cards. To me, I don't see, like, I mean, you can say that there's more art. Like, if you make Omega and you take a card out of your opponent's hand, I guess there's like more RNG. But the problem is, like, we're at the point where we have so many strong level 8 synchros. I just don't really see Borreload as like so much better than the other ones, and I don't really think there's that big of a difference. I don't know. Omega, I mean, Omega's still fucking limited. You got to respect the power of I mean, it's limited, right? Omega's still limited for a reason, I guess.
Falls under the category of Upstart Goblin. If you can play level 8 synchro in your deck, World Savage will always be there. It's always the #1 synchro monster that you really want to go into. It just does a bit too much. Obviously, when Dragon Buster Destruction Sword was in here, it was even worse because you could equip like Dragon Buster to World Savage, and like nobody can really out like a 40.
How come no one ever talks about that Savage doesn't destroy the card? Is that not relevant, chat? That Savage doesn't destroy the card that it negates? Is that just not relevant? Because I would feel like post Link summoning it would be more relevant. Because I mean, for all intents and purposes, when it comes to spells and traps, I guess it isn't technically relevant. But when it comes to monsters, it is. Because when the monster doesn't die, you can still use the monster as a resource for like Link summoning. I don't know. Maybe it's not relevant. You know?
500 attack Boral Savage that
because it usually negates spells and traps.
Using the extra deck. So Boral Savage shouldn't exist. Crystal Wing is fine. It's hard to summon and it only negates monster effects. What else? Voidogre Dragon is very fine. It only negates spells and traps and only when you have no cards in your hand. Boral Savage negates monster, spells, and traps. And all you really need is a Link monster in your graveyard. So no thanks.
Yeah, this does feel very similar to arguing that like Hot Red Dragon Archery and Abyss should have been banned instead of Argopane. Because if you guys remember, what did people summon 99.999% of the time off of Argopane? I remember for like 2 days, people were summoning Crystal Wing, and then they were like, nah, this shit's just better. Everyone always summoned Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. So this would be, I mean, to me, this just, I don't know, it feels kind of similar to that.
I really don't want this card to always be the level 8 synchro that I see. So this is like indirect hit to the Dragon Link deck, because now instead of making
people did that for like a week, and then they realized Hot Red is
which
better.
I think is 100% like what.
Because if you got Crystal, if you summoned Crystal Wing and then you ran into fucking Sky Strikers, you're like, oh, this does nothing. Or if you used it against like Ultrageist or basically any deck that wasn't fucking super monster reliant like Salamangreat or Thunder, if you summoned it against a deck that played purple cards or green cards, you realize Crystal Wing actually sucks. Like, it just doesn't do that. It doesn't do anything.
That's it.
Summon Miluseek attack. Okay, you negate my attack, or you kill me, you negate Miluseek. All right, I get a search. Chances are I can like negate your Crystal Wing.
For the ban cards, don't forget that this isn't necessarily like a huge, like, supposed to be like a banless prediction, right? It's kind of like a combination of prediction and wish list.
The limits don't matter.
Definitely some truth in here. I don't know, from like a business perspective,
you can summon Savage Dragon.
Is like the correct.
What you mean from Argopane? The Savage Dragon effect only, I'm pretty sure Savage only activates when it's synchro summoned, right? So even like, I'm pretty sure if you Monster Reborn a Savage Dragon, you can't get the equipped. And Savage Dragon without the link doesn't do anything.
I think for like the health of the game, this
I don't think cards should be banned, honestly.
And also, in a way, kind of also business perspective, because
I don't think cards will be banned. Okay.
Never really
honestly, I think, yeah, that's what I think. I think it's going to be like last ban list. I think Konami is under
I have Numeron
no
calling
pressure
to 1,
to do anything.
and not Numeron Network. I did not bad.
Take that, Big Pimp. And this guy wants, your guy wants Numeron cards hit. Numeron calling. Does this do anything, by the way? I'm out of touch. But if I mean, everyone says Numeron sucks, I guess. But even if you were to play Numeron, don't they just run 1 anyways? Like, to me, it's just like Brilliant Fusion. If you draw this bitch, I think you can activate. You can just hard activate it. Yeah, like I don't get. Why not just hit network? What the fuck? What are we doing?
I think the only unfair thing with the Numeron package is the fact that you can have like
just
a follow-up that
S0.
allows you to kill your opponent in case the Zexal gets outed. And if the Zexal doesn't get outed, then they're eating another Zexal.
Even if there was no S0, I still think, even if there was no S0, I still think the Numeron cards would be fucking good. Because going second, they're still powerful. Or even like turn 1, just a 1-card Appaloosa for 4. To me, it's just still good. If you run up against a monster effect, like, all right, turn 1 Appaloosa for 4 pass against Adamancipator. I will literally beat your entire deck with that one fucking Appaloosa, chat. You guys do realize Appaloosa pass. Okay, you say that until you're playing Adamancipator. Like, all right, you can play through 4 negates with Adamancipator. No, chances are you can't. Like, activate, research, negate. Pretty sure it's a hard once return. Activate some other shit, negate. All right, now you have like 6 cards, but you can't do anything. Like, I'm pretty sure Appaloosa Pass with 4 negates will beat Adamancipator, even with 6 cards. Like, you're gonna lose to that because your entire deck just is monster effects, and if you can't use those, you just lose.
And you know,
you're gonna have to go like Utopia. You're gonna do some really dumb shit to like attack or something, and you're gonna have to make like really awkward plays. But 4 negate Appaloosa will beat Adamancipator. Because if I stop you on your first turn, I just win the game. Whatever my other 5 cards are, if you don't win with Adamancipator turn 1, you're not gonna win the game. Because your deck doesn't do anything.
I think
normal Guardian GG. Okay, so basically have one specific card or lose the game. I'm fine with that. You're telling me have one, and couldn't Appaloosa just negate? Could Appaloosa? Well, I guess Appaloosa can't negate twice in the same chain. But you're basically saying that if you don't open Guardian, then you auto lose. If you're telling me that, or Dark Root, well, again, now you're just naming like, well, if I don't, now we're back to the argument of if I don't open this exact card, I lose the duel. Like, I'll take my chances of that. Like, that is
fine for the Numeron decks is making Zexal and just not being
able it or imperm. Do they make deck impermanence
to summon anything like having just dead cards after that, right? Like,
Dragon Ruler's got super polymerization, Dragon Ravine, Dark Matter, Gold Sarcophagus.
And calling being at more than 1, like,
I'm pretty sure Thunder Dragon got Gold Sarcophagus hit.
Being able to play like multiple Numeron calling is definitely not something that just
every deck plays in perm. Okay, I wasn't sure.
You know that you have like something.
Does Eldorado play in permanence?
Those freaking 4-number monsters.
And permanence is probably the #1 staple card.
I mean, no, nobody wants to see that. So
when it comes to like the absolute intricacies of Yu-Gi-Oh deck building, I don't know. I can't. I don't want to assume that every deck plays in perm. I think in perm fits in every deck. But I don't want to assume every deck plays
New Round Calling, sorry, man. You got to go to one. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Okay, what else we got?
And Crystal Orlando, it changes nothing.
Okay, so he had 2 cards in Eldorado. This is the Scout, right? Okay, yeah, this is the Cleaford Scout. And this is the trap card that everyone hates. I can't even really speak on Eldorado. So
I don't know. I can't really force people to play Black Awakening at 3 instead of just 1 or 2.
Yeah, chat. And permanence doesn't fit in Super Heavy Samurai, thus it's not a staple. Get wrecked.
So that's kind of good because Black Awakening is obviously less good.
And if you make Appaloosa pass against Eldorado, how much spot removal does Eldorado have? I think they have enough, right? Because I was gonna say you wouldn't make Appaloosa against Eldorado. I think you'd make MegaClops, but I think they have spot removal in their trap, so I think they might just be able to fuck it. If not, then I guess you'd make MegaClops against
Scarlet.